welcome Sister Benedicta Boakye-Yiadom, who is the principal of St. Louis Roman Catholic Model School here in Nsuta, Techiman, in the Bono East region of Ghana. So welcome, Benedicta, and thank you very much for agreeing to do this interview with me. I suppose, like all the other sisters I've met so far in Ghana, I've asked them just to tell me a little bit about yourself, where you were born, your family, and where you went to school.
All right. Thank you. I am Sister Benedicta Boakye-Yiadom. I come from Boakye-Yiadom in the eastern region of Ghana. But I stayed and grew up in Adanse, Apeja. I have 5 siblings, and I am the third born and the first girl.
And where did you go to school?
I had my junior secondary school in Adanse, Apeja, and I had my senior secondary school in Achim Oda in the eastern region of Ghana, Oda Secondary School. I had my teacher training education at Our Lady of Apostles Training College in Cape Coast, Ola. And I had my degree in Winneba College of Education in Ghana. I had my first vow in 2003, 8th of September. And after the first vow, I was posted to Accra to work there in the regional house. From there, I had my teacher training college, and when I completed, I was transferred to Asante Mampong as a pioneer to begin a new community in Mampong, and I taught in St. Paul's Catholic JHS. From Oku, I was transferred to Oku in the Afram Plains to continue with my teaching. And over there, I had my final profession. After the final profession, I was posted to begin a new mission in Ethiopia. I worked in Ethiopia for 5 years. I was teaching in a preschool and also helping women with skill development. After 5 years, I came back to Ghana and I stayed in the regional house to rest for a while, after which I was asked to do a formation program for 9 months in Cape Coast. After the formation program, I was asked to teach in St. Louis Jubilee School in Kumasi, and I stayed in the formation house, the novitiate house in Apromasi in Kumasi, while teaching in St. Louis Jubilee School. After a year and some months, the congregation thought of beginning a new mission in the Bono region in Techiman. So I was called to think about it and see if I could be part of the pioneers. So I reflected for some time and I felt called to be part of that mission. So I began when the time came. So on the 1st of September 2022, I came to Nsuta with Sister Mary Atatechua Mensa, and we were accompanied by a good number of the Sisters of St. Louis to begin this mission. So when they came, they left us and we stayed in the mission house for some time because the convent and the school were not ready. They had to put a few things in order. So we stayed in the mission house for some time, for a couple of days. When the house was ready, the convent was ready, we finally came to settle in the convent. And then the school began on the 10th of January 2023. It was entirely new school, so before it began, we had sent letters trying to advertise, so people had come for admissions. Even when we started, people were still coming for admissions. It was interesting seeing that what we hoped for had begun, and with kids all over. In fact, on the first day of the opening of the school, the bishop was present with some priests and some stakeholders. It was an interesting experience. All the children gathered, playing in one room, and then during lunch, we sat with them in the dining hall. We gave them toffees. They danced, we danced with them. It was quite moving, and we were so happy to see that day. After some time, we got more staff to join us, and gradually the school was taking shape, and a lot of people also encouraged us. In fact, because we are by the roadside, when people are passing, those who have heard of St. Louis, they will just pop in to see what is going on in the school. They will admire what we have done and also encourage us to keep on and to keep up with the goodwill.
That's excellent. You've just told me your life story in 6 minutes, so we might go back and talk about some things in a little bit more detail. I suppose just to go back a good bit, you told me about the schools you went to, and none of them were Sister of St. Louis schools. So I'm very curious as to how you became a Sister of St. Louis. Like, how did you first come into contact with the Sister of St. Louis, and then what inspired you to actually choose the Sister of St. Louis as the order you were going to join?
Yeah. My family knew one of the Sisters of St. Louis, Sister Máirín from Pong, was a very good friend of my mom. So my mom told me about Sister Mary. Sister Mary is good, he's kind. Though I had not decided to become a nun.
Okay.
I came to Kumasi to do a secretarial course. Then one time I fell sick and I was looking for a place to lodge and rest. So when I called my mom said, "Oh, but Sister Mary is she's just nearby. Why don't you call her, go there and rest instead of coming home, because my school was too far away from home." So I went. And when I went, Sister Mary took a very good care of me, took me to the hospital because she's a nurse, and the hospital was right within the convent was located within the hospital premises. So Sister Mary took me there to see a doctor. I was treated so well. She took very good care of me. Though I had admired nuns from afar, but I had not thought of joining St. Louis because I really didn't. When Sister Mary used to come to our house, I was still a young girl, so I didn't really know much about sisters. But I had thought of serving God in that way. So after my treatment, I couldn't even tell Sister I wanted to be a St. Louis sister. So in the evening, when Sister had gone for a program, there was another sister in the community by name Sister Lisbeth Osei of blessed memory. So we got talking. I got talking with Sister Lisbeth, and I asked her a lot about the Sisters of St. Louis. And he spoke and spoke and spoke, and went to the extent of telling me if you wanted to join the sisters, you could do this, you could do that. So I got even the addresses from her and the contact person. I still didn't tell her I wanted to be a St. Louis sister, so I went back to school. In the school, after a couple of days, I said, "Oh, I must follow this conversation. I think I really enjoyed all that I heard about the Sisters of St. Louis." So I called the contact person for formation, Sister Martha Piekubi. She was in Kumasi at that time. and I spoke with her that I'm in so school and I want to come and visit her, but I don't know where she is. So he said, okay, no problem. He gave me the direction to where she was, and she also asked me where I was, and surprisingly she came one weekend to my school. I was there, and then I got a message that, oh, there's a reverend sister looking for me. I said, me a reverend sister. So I went. I had forgotten that I had spoken with Sister Martha about St. Louis. So sister came, my first time of seeing her, and then we got talking. So I promised to visit her, and indeed I went to visit her. I stayed for some days, and we got talking, and we talked more about what to do to become a St. Louis sister, the requirements and everything. And I was so much interested. So after my days, when the days were over, I told sister that I'll come back. So I went back to school, wrote my application, and then sent to sister, went again to visit. And this time I was actually getting ready to begin because I had completed my course. So sister invited me over, and I did my psychological tests and other series of tests that I had to go through. I got letters from my parish priest, approval letters, and from my parents. And then I began my training in Kumasi. So that was how I came to know the sisters.
Okay, so, and how long did you aspire for?
I didn't aspire for too long.
Okay.
Let's say less than a year.
Okay.
Because I had already completed senior secondary school.
Okay.
I was in a tertiary institution doing some course in secretariatship.
Okay.
So I was ready for life, let me put it that way.
Yeah.
So it didn't take me long to decide to begin, because I was very ready.
Yeah. And it also sounds like you had plenty of conversations before you even aspired.
Yes,
Yeah. So,
yes.
Yeah, that's great. That's very interesting. So one of the things, I suppose, that really impressed me in just a little bit I know about you is that you're what I'm calling a triple pioneer. I don't think there's too many triple pioneer sisters in Sisters St. Louis. And what I mean by that is you're one of the pioneer sisters of the Mampong community, one of the pioneer sisters that travelled to Ethiopia in 2011, and now you're one of the pioneer sisters here. So I suppose I'd just love to hear a little bit more about Mampong. I'd love to hear loads about Ethiopia. You're the first sister that I've introduced, or that I've interviewed, that has been to Ethiopia. So I suppose that makes another pioneer. I'm a pioneer interviewer. And then we'll probably finish then with a little bit. I might have a few more questions here about the school here. So tell me a little bit about Mampong. You went there and you said you were a teacher in the local school in St. Paul's. Well, I suppose why did the teachers or the sisters decide to set up a community in Mampong? And were there other pioneer sisters with you at the time?
Yes, we were three actually. One senior sister and two young sisters. Another young sister plus myself, so we're three. Because we were already in Oku, and at the time we went to Mampong, there was no religious congregation in Mampong, and that's the seat of the bishop. And having worked in Afram Plains, which is under the same diocese for a very long time, the bishop needed a presence of religious St. Louis presence in Mampong. So the sisters agreed, and they were looking for sisters who would be willing to go.
Okay.
So I was approached. Different sisters were approached, and you were not forced with your decision. So we were left to, decide. We were approached, and you were free to decide whichever way, whether you would want to go or you would want to think about it later and respond. So when I was approached, that was okay for me, because I had just completed teacher training college, and definitely I will be posted to a place to work. And I was looking for a convent to stay to work, because being a sister, and a young sister for that matter, I think staying in our own convent would have been much better for me to get more experience. So when I was approached that I was going to be posted to Mampong to work, it was not an issue at all for me. I was okay with that, because I was going to stay with my own sisters and to learn more from them.
And was the convent built when you arrived, or were you part of kind of helping the convent to be constructed, or?
In fact, it was an office.
Okay.
It was an office for the diocese, so we stayed there for some time. In fact, before I left Mampong, we had still not built a convent.
Okay.
But we had the land in a suburb of Mampong called Bosofo.
Okay.
So it was when I left that the sisters started building.
Okay.
The land was there. We acquired the land when I was there through the bishop. So when I left, they started building, and now we have our own convent.
Yes. I had the pleasure of staying there last night.
Yes. So, but before we were living in the office of the diocese,
Okay.
close to the church.
Okay. That was going to lead me into the next question, but you weren't responsible for helping to build a convent in Mampong. But you were responsible, one of the sisters responsible for building a beautiful convent in Doan in the Tigray region of Ethiopia. I think you arrived in Ethiopia the year I started working for the Sisters of St. Louis. So I followed that journey with great interest. So I'd love to hear a lot more about Ethiopia, from the day you arrived till the building of the convent, engaging with the local people. There was loads of fantastic projects that you got involved in till the day you left. So work away there.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, going to Ethiopia, I had mixed feelings, but after some time I was okay, and I was excited to go, because I love to try things, and I love to share my gifts with people. Wherever I'll get that space to share, I'm okay. So after some I think I had mixed feelings, because that was my first time of traveling. That would be my first time of traveling very far from my country. I had been to Nigeria before that time, but going outside West Africa, that was my first experience. So I was, as I said, I had mixed feelings, but after some time, I was okay. And when we arrived from different countries, the pioneers, 2 from Nigeria. We arrived at different times, but then we waited for each other at the airport so that we could go together to stay at where we had been given to stay. And then it was when we came together at the airport that we got to, we knew each other a little bit, because we were in Ireland together going through a program. But then that was not enough. So in the evening, when we all arrived around 8:30 p.m., we got talking, and then we went to stay at where we were asked to lodge for the night. Then the next day, early in the morning, we continued to the mission grounds, and we stayed in one convent, again another, and then we continued. We met the bishop, and in fact, the people of Tigray were ready to receive us, and there was a whole congregation, the township. They were ready to welcome from the outskirts of the town. So they were songs and all. It was lovely. So they came and welcomed us in the church, and different groups of people spoke to us, all trying to, the leaders of the various groups within the township all spoke to welcome us. Though we didn't understand some of the language, but it was translated to us, and we knew that they were welcoming us. So after some time, we were asked to stay in one convent nearby, in another town, quite close to us, with the Daughters of Charity. So we stayed there for almost 3 months, trying to learn the language, the local language. And
can you remember anything in Tigrina?
Oh yeah, we can even a bit in their national language, something like Kende, something like Keme, that's hello, Keme Hadriki, Keme Hadrikum, the feminine and then the masculine when we are greeting. Hello, madam, hello, Mr. Hadriki, Kame Hadriki, Kame Hadrikum. So it was interesting when I began to learn the language. At least I could go out and speak small language with people, and then going to the market. You know, the market women, I needed to have a bit of the language, going to buy things. So I intentionally learned a little bit about how to buy, the ways to get to buy things on the market, and then to bargain, because sometimes if they price things and you don't bargain because of language, you pay higher amount. So I learned kende means reduce.
The most important word.
Yeah, and then what's the time?
Yes.
I learned all that. So, but you know, living in your own home is different from living with somebody, because when you're in your own home, you have your privacy and you can do a lot of things. So when we eventually moved to our own house, in fact the house was not ready, but every day we had to walk a very far distance to go and check how the building was going, and it was very tiring. So we spoke to the bishop, and the bishop said, okay, there's a nearby office belonging to the secretariat, the Catholic secretariat, very close to your house. So we can give that place for you to lodge so that you could keep an eye on the building than working for a very long time before you get to the site. So we moved again to another premises, and then we're supervising the buildings in our house. It kept quite some time, for a very long time, because the machines they were using broke down, and it was a hilly ground, so they had to excavate. So the machine broke down, and they had to wait for a couple of months to continue with the work. So that delayed the building of the convent a little bit, but as time went on, they were able to gather themselves to continue the work. They had not finished completely when we moved in, because we felt that if we had not moved in, they wouldn't speed up with the work. So we moved in, and even the bathroom and the toilet were not completely done. And they said, are you sisters? We haven't finished. Wait for us to finish. I said, we want you to finish early. We want you to know that we want to stay in that house. So we have moved in. So that day, the contractor said, even the bathrooms are not. Why are you going to take yours? I said, don't worry. It means that you have to speed up with your work. And true. The next day, they came and finished the bathroom, finished the toilet, because they didn't know where we would go and take our shower. And they didn't want people to also say that they haven't made those things for us. So quickly, they came and did that for us. And that made life much more comfortable over there.
How did the convent take to build, say, from start to finish?
More than 6 months. Okay. Because when we went there, within the 3 months, they had not finished. Yeah. So even when we were living in the house, they were now trying to put finishing touches to some of the things in the house. So I would say that 6 months and some weeks. Yeah.
That's pretty good, really, considering it was a very remote, hilly area.
Yeah.
Lots of challenges just to actually build.
Yeah.
So yeah. So you moved in, and I presume you had started. I think it was the first thing you were working on was helping out in the kindergarten school.
Yes.
And then you took over running the school.
I did it. One of us, Sister Justina from Nigeria, was the one running, but we were all working together.
Yeah.
So one was a Beza, and she was the main person. Then I was teaching the 4-year-olds, the KG ones, and then working with the women empowerment project. The women were into animal rearing and then weaving. So with the weaving, we got donors from Ireland and then Mercy Fund to help them. So we bought the machines, the embroidery machines, from the grant we received from Mercy, that foundation, Mercy Foundation, and then we got them some materials. And those for the animal rearing, we actually bought the sheep for them.
Okay.
They were into sheep rearing. So we asked somebody who is into that to bring a good number of them for them to select. So they selected and then we paid. But we reduced the price for them so that they could get some kind of profit or interest for themselves. But they paid the capital. So whatever came after the capital was their own profits. And they really enjoyed it. Before that, we had done needs assessment. It was through the needs assessment that we got to know that they were interested in the sheep rearing and the weaving. And we also gave them some training on entrepreneurship and then accounting, a little bit of bookkeeping, so that they could keep their own monies well, they could save a little bit. So when the first batch completed, graduated, it was then that the people got to know that, hey, something good is happening here. So quickly we got another set to register for the weaving and then for the sheep rearing.
And was it the same women that were doing the weaving and the sheep rearing, or was that different?
No, different women. Different women.
And was there something I read, now I don't know if I remember this correctly, about sort of youth empowerment? Was there programs with the youth?
Yes, when I went, we used to meet the youth to talk to them. In fact, we started teaching them English so that we could communicate with them. Those in the cities, could speak, but in the villages, we have a few of them, and we wanted to do pastoral work, but we didn't have the language, so we started teaching the youth English, and even the teachers for some time. And when I left, I learned that they kept on, and they were even doing ICT and music, how to play the organ and other instruments. That was when I had left. But when I was there, we began teaching them English. Anybody interested, and then teaching them some songs, English songs, to help them with.
Okay, great. I'll just finish very briefly on it. I know obviously there's issues at the moment, unfortunately, in Ethiopia with the civil war, and the two sisters that are currently there are kind of, I suppose, is it Addis they're in, or where are they staying at the moment?
They are staying in Addis Ababa.
Yeah.
Yes, with some sisters.
Okay. So we hope, I suppose, pray that the civil war will end and that they will be able to return to the convent.
Yeah.
But it's been amazing work that you've been doing there. All the sisters have been doing there, and hopefully they'll be able to return soon. I suppose moving on, because we're speaking a long time at this point. Then your third pioneer project was here in Oku. And I suppose just a couple of the questions I'd have is, I suppose, how many students are here? What classes are you looking after at the moment? Kind of what are your hopes for the future here? And what does a typical day look like for a principal in a new school that has very young children? That's a lot of questions. So maybe tell me what a typical day looks like first.
The first day of reopening, it can be very tiring because sometimes people are coming, some are coming for admissions, others are coming to buy things and, coming to make inquiries here and there. But generally, my typical day, I go around everywhere to make sure things are in order. From the kitchen, in fact, I start from the outer compound to check if the place is secure. Though I have securities all over, but again, I still have to check if everybody is at post working and the environment is safe. So I go around. From there, I come to the inside, enter every classroom.
How many classrooms?
I have four classrooms. Yeah. And then I check if all the children are there. Those who are absent, I try to find out what has been the cause and to check if all the teachers are present. Though they sign, if I check from the time book to see they have signed, then I go to the classroom to check if they are present and see whatever they are teaching. And sometimes what I do, sometimes I peep. I don't enter through the window to observe what is happening before I enter. So that if I see anything that is not, too good, then I enter, I call the teacher out to draw her attention that do it this way or that way. And so kind of I monitor all the activities in the school. And when they are playing, during break time, I would like to sit in front of the office to observe, because they are at different ages and some of them can be troublesome, can bully the others. So, but once I'm there, they behave themselves.
The youngest group are KG1, so they're rough
the nursery, the nursery ones, the 2-year-olds. So we have 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds.
In nursery one.
The nursery ones are 2-year-olds.
Okay.
Then the nursery 2, 3-year-olds. Then KG1, 4-year-olds. Then KG2, 5-year-olds.
Okay. So they're all very young.
Yes.
And how many is in each class approximately?
Some are like nursery 1, they are 12. Nursery 2, they are 11. KG1, they are 14. And then KG2, they are 14.
Okay.
Making 52.
Okay, so it's approximately 60 or 70 students in total. Okay. And so I suppose as the school progresses, the so next year,
yes,
you'll have 5 classes, because you'll have a new class entering in nursery 1 and the KG2 will progress to the next level.
Yeah, in fact, this year, September, the academic year begins, the new academic year begins in September. So this year, September, we'll begin lower primary 1. Okay. So everybody will move. Yeah, so we'll have 5 classes.
Homeschool, you're hoping up to junior high school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
In a few years to come, that's our hope.
Okay. Okay. And how do you feel it's going so far? It's only a year, 18 months into the journey. What have been, I suppose, the highlights, and what have been sort of the biggest challenges?
I must say that when I sit to look round the compound, I am so happy, because when we came newly, the compound was not like this. We struggled to get, even the grass, the soil was a bit bad. So we had to put all sorts of things to get it grow, to get this whole place green. And looking at the number we have, St. Louis is not, we don't have any community around. So this is quite far away from where the SSS are, distance-wise. And I didn't know this area. In fact, it was this mission that has brought me here. I have never stayed in this area. I didn't know this area at all. But I am impressed with how much people have supported us. People come around, they give words of encouragement to you, and they appreciate what we have done so far. And the children carry good messages home. Whatever they learn, they go and share with their parents. And at PTA meetings, they share them with us. One parent said before he wasn't praying over any meal. Once he gets food, he wash his hands and put in the food. And then the little boy will say, "No, mommy, we have to pray over the food before we eat." Because in my school, anytime we are about to eat, sister will say, we let us pray in the name of the Father and of the Son. Then he say, "Bless us, O Lord." And the lady said if he doesn't pray, that young boy, little boy, will not eat the food. So because of that, it has become part of it, and he has learned that prayer. So he was so happy that they are very tiny, but they are learning a lot, and they are sharing with them. And another, this was a grandmother. She sells by the roadside. And this fateful day, she was selling something, and then the car stopped. And the man spoke English. How much is your? And she has never been to school. So this boy, the grandson, was there and said, oh, this is 2 Ghana, this is 2 Ghana. Then the man looked at him and said, where do you attend school? Suddenly we asked him, why is your school? Oh, just by the one you are going to. And the old woman was highly impressed.
She was so proud of her grandson.
Proud, and he came and shared with us that even if no one is ready to come, she will go and advertise the school, because that day the grandson saved her because he couldn't have answered the man. And the man gave that boy money for how he spoke and all that.
That's the best validation and advertisement for the school.
Yeah, yeah. So I am so happy with how the children are growing, how they are picking what they have been taught, and how they comport themselves. There are 3 schools on the compound. When we are having mass here, if it's a common mass for all of us, we usually have it here. They will sit quietly, they will comport themselves as if you wouldn't need to say keep quiet, no. They will sit, fold their arms, and just listen to. And that alone, because you won't find that in other schools. I think that alone is one good thing. And now people are getting to know the school. So
it's in a matter of time, I'd say there'll be huge demand.
Yeah.
There'll be waiting lists.
Yes.
Yes. Great. And is there any challenges? That all sounds fantastic. So there must be some challenges.
Oh yeah. There are, because you see the location is not in the city as such. So people don't really have money. Though they want the best for their kids, but they are peasant farmers and they don't have much. So I know that there are a lot of people who would want to bring their kids, but they cannot afford. So that one is a challenge. Even those who are here, sometimes they struggle to pay the fees. So this time what I have done is that divide the fee into 3. First month of reopening, pay something. Second month, pay something, so that by the time we vacate, you would have finished paying everything. So I give them time to, to save small and to pay. They pay through the bank, they don't give to me. But they have that long stretch to prepare to pay. And that is helping a lot. Because to get the bulk at once to pay is a problem. Because there are small monies that they put together. So that is one challenge. They will definitely pay, but then it takes a bit of time for them to pay. So when you need money to do things, quickly, you have to slow down a little bit and wait for them to pay so that you can. So that's a challenge. But thanks be to God, we are able to pay the staff through what they give us.
That's great. And so far, staff have been excellent, you were telling me earlier.
Yes. And they are committed.
Yeah. That's great. That's fantastic. Well, we better wrap up here now. We're coming close to 40 minutes. This is the longest interview I've done so far. So I just have 2 very brief questions for you. One, just two general questions. One would be, what are your hopes for the future as a sister of St. Louis?
Okay.
Either for this school or just generally for the future.
Okay. For this school, I hope that in the next few years, we would have expanded the school up to junior secondary school or even senior secondary school, if that would be possible for us. And then we'll have a lot of St. Louis sisters working here, because at the moment we are 2 and we need more hands. Yeah. The presence of sisters, I will say that it's very, very important. If we have a good number of us working here, we'll make a lot of impact. And then for the sisters, My hope is that we will have other communities around, if not in Nsuta, maybe elsewhere within this region, so that we are not the only person here. You have a community. Sometimes when you are tired here, you can go there. They can also come here. And you know, the more we move out, the more we are seen, and the more we get people to join us. So my hope is that we'll get a lot of young people from here to join us.
Well, that actually brings me very nicely to my last question. If there's any young woman thinking of joining the Sisters of St. Louis, what words of advice would you have for them?
Okay. I would say that Sisters of St. Louis are God-fearing women. They are united. They have a strong sense of unity, or let me put it, Sint Onum, which is our motto, is so dear to us, and we really try to live it in our communities wherever we find ourselves. So we stick together in everything we do. We may have our weaknesses and differences, but Sint Onum is our hallmark, and we try as much as possible to preserve that unity in any way possible. So if you decide to join the Sisters of St. Louis, you will feel belong, and you'll be very happy, and you have time to serve God in the way you want, because we allow people to grow in the way God would love them to. Sometimes people ask, so if I have this profession, will you accept me? We accept anyone who come our way with whichever profession you have, in as much as you have the inner core and the willingness to live with the sisters, to abide by the constitution of the sisters, and to spread God's love to the world. You are welcome. So we are open, we accept you, not you, we accept your family as well. So
thank you very much for that, Benedicta. That was a lovely way to end, and it is incredible that all the sisters I've met so far that I've interviewed have all ended with that lovely words about St. Unum. So there's definitely a marvellous sense of St. Unum and community here in Ghana. So I'd like to thank you again for talking to me today.
You are welcome.
Thank you.